Three. Yeah, we're recording now. Yep. So, how's it going, guys? It is the Class Traitors podcast coming at you with another episode, and we got me here with your other host, Nicholas Bersomley, and we just kind of want to go over some of the events that happened this past week. It was Thanksgiving this past week. Nick, did you do anything for Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, I sat on my couch, slowly decaying, staring into the void. It was a really awesome holiday.
Yeah.
Didn't get to see any family, so yeah, it was awesome. It was a sick holiday.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool holiday. I probably goes down in history as one of the best Thanksgivings for a lot of Americans, honestly. A lot of COVID cases and stuff. A lot of people staying at home. A lot of people are traveling though. I have some friends right now that actually are at a bar tonight. Pennsylvania went through and they didn't allow you to come into the state if you didn't have a COVID test within the past like 3 days, I think it was. And they closed down all the bars.
Damn.
And they didn't allow you to buy alcohol on Thanksgiving or the night before or day before even, I don't believe. So people were so mad. They had to get their alcohol 2 days before Thanksgiving. It was crazy. But it's crazy is that the bars are actually now open this
fucked
Saturday.
up.
Yeah, it's fucked up. That's like
That's
my
good.
right, man.
That's good.
That's actually my right. But yeah, I think it's been been an interesting Thanksgiving.
The Constitution tells me that I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah,
it's true.
100%. Oh man, but yeah, I guess let's start getting into these articles then. What the fuck? Let me get this down. There we are. All right, so first article we're gonna go over is from CNET. Doesn't really matter. It's just about AOC's Among Us stream on Twitch. This is her second Among Us stream. If you guys didn't catch the first one, she broke like record numbers for being an individual streamer and not backed by like any big organization or anything. Like she literally just got on stream with like a fucking, probably like I think it was like she had a, dual PC setup or whatever the hell. And was just playing Among Us with some other like massive streamers.
Well, Hudson, you ignored the fact that she is actually supported by an organization, the Marxist cabal, that's funding her.
Yeah, she was probably supported by Hillary Clinton, who loves her, and George Soros, I imagine, and then like the other lizard people.
Definitely.
Yeah, probably at this point Fox News. Honestly, I hear that they're pretty liberal now.
No, they're actually they're run by Hugo Chavez now. He took over the company.
I heard about that actually. He used the money that he got from rigging all those voting machines to buy Fox. That was like his thing. That was
Yeah.
But yeah, so essentially, well, I guess I did forget though.
Actually, like to do it.
Yeah, 100%. He's that's how serious he is about it. It's a very important issue to him. But actually though, I forgot that it was kind of back. It was like for an organization. It was for Get Out to Vote, which I don't know how organized Get Out to Vote is. It seems pretty organized, right? I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it was for that initially.
Yeah, it is.
But the second one is for coronavirus relief apparently, and they raised about $200,000 for it. Whereas the first one I don't think was to raise money. I could be wrong, but I don't think it was to raise money. I think it was just to get awareness out to vote. I don't think Get Out to Vote really raises money from like crowdsourcing money, right? I think they're mostly like donors and stuff like that. But yeah, I think this is pretty cool, and I feel like she has said like publicly like this is like the future of marketing politics, right? In a way, this is kind of how Donald Trump has gotten so popular. It's essentially from getting free marketing.
Right.
And I think it's a really interesting concept, and kind of what she's doing is a healthy way to do it. And it's essentially just getting free marketing. It's getting her a bigger platform, really, is what it is. It is crazy. It makes people really like her and allows her to like say her ideas over to a shit ton of people without paying a cent. And in fact, not just not paying a cent, also raising money for a very good cause, which I think is very cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely, comparing her to Trump in that regard. Obviously he's a right-wing populist. She would be considered a left-wing populist. And one of the easiest ways to effectively, you know, gain awareness as a populist in the social media age is through earned media, where you're not having to spend dollars and just let yourself gain traction constantly. And I'd say on the left side, she has definitely been the most pragmatic out of any left-wing politician at actually doing that and remaining relevant, without having, super PACs funding her, corporate money funding her to get her ad buys and whatnot. So,
and her suggestions
I would say that's good.
Yeah, her suggestions even to the fucking establishment Democrats were to like, hey, like, you're spending a lot of money, a lot more than us grassroots people, right? Why don't you spend it smart? And because a lot of them weren't even, their campaigns were ran horribly. A lot of them weren't even spending money on online ads. You know what I mean? They're in the fucking Stone Age right now. It's crazy. And she's just trying to say that to them. And I think that, like, just doing stuff like this kind of shows how fucking powerful that can be. Honestly, now I don't think establishment Democrats will realize that from stuff like this, because I don't think they comprehend what Twitch is, or like how big this stuff is, or anything like that. And because, like, they didn't, like, if you don't understand how important Facebook is after the 2016 election, and you, like, you know what I mean, if you don't make changes to your how you run your campaigns after the 2016 election, you're not in touch. You probably should not be working in that field then, or you should hire people that can actually, like, fill in your gaps. So I don't get it.
Right.
But yeah, I thought this was pretty cool.
And
now touching
it's
on the
worth.
There you go.
Yeah, it's worth acknowledging too that in response to that very justifiable criticism that AOC levied against the establishment Democrats responded by essentially spitting in her face, laying blame to her and progressive candidates for Democratic underperformance in this election, and just used it as an excuse to continue railing against her, even though she and her cohorts have been, some of the most effective as far as at least mobilizing voters in the entire Democratic Party. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's just an example of, Democrats kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because they're being given, opportunities to succeed, and they're so much more disgusted by young people actually taking part in the political process successfully than they are interested in actually, achieving their policy objectives by listening to them. So it's pretty fucking stupid.
And just to give some more explanation, if people aren't super in touch with this, essentially what has happened is the Democrats, as a lot of people know, shit the bed this election. In a lot of the cases, they lost seats in a lot of places, from what I understand. And very few of the progressives, of the true progressives, with most of them having grassroots movements, lost. All of the seats were essentially establishment Democrats that ran as establishment Democrats and then lost, and they are now blaming it. Democratic leadership essentially calls the super left side, the progressive side of the Democrats, they call them socialists, and they say that they are bringing the socialist title to the Democratic Party, and that's what is losing the not progressive seats in the House, which logically doesn't make sense, right? Maybe it feels like a stretch is what it feels like, and it's just kind of like putting the blame on the wrong person. But if you're seeing success for those candidates that are progressive, maybe you should then lean into that rather than try to separate them. It's pretty, or blame them, like you're saying, Nick.
Right. And it's especially important because the Democratic Party in the establishment doesn't seem to be able to understand that working class people, and especially minorities, don't owe them their vote. They don't have any kind of obligation to vote blue. You still have to earn those people's votes. You have to present them with a reason to vote for you that will improve their lives in some capacity. And so that's why a lot of these progressive candidates have been successful consistently, is because they are offering legitimate policy solutions to people's problems.
Yep.
And the vast majority, though, of Democratic candidates who are more moderate and more status quo oriented, especially in this election, were purely running, against Trump and running on Trump's a racist. You can't vote Republican because
that's like
Trump's a racist and they're all racist. Okay, but like for people who are suffering right now, you have to give them more of a reason to care and to actually want you to be their elected official. You have to give them something to vote for.
Dude, it's like so I mean it's so simple. Like Republicans, yes, they don't have the right solutions in our views, and from logic they don't have the right solutions from for a lot of issues, but they at least offer solutions to real problems, right? Like if you're literally in poverty, they're like, oh well, we're going to like fucking Trump's platinum plan or whatever stupid shit he's never gonna do, right? He's at least saying that that's gonna happen, and you know what I mean? Like he's saying that, and whereas like you're saying, the Democrats are essentially just running on an abstract idea, like we want the decorum back is their whole platform for this election, right? Yes, they have like a actual like detailed platform, whereas the Republicans really don't. But nobody looks at that. They look at like what the marketing says.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what it is. But
the conservatives essentially what their messaging boils down to is the Democratic Party doesn't understand, economics, and their policies are going to hurt you financially. And they dedicate a vast majority of their messaging to that idea. And a lot of people believe it because that's just how messaging works. You hear something from sources you trust and you take that at face value. And Democrats are failing across the board to adequately explain to people how their policies can help them. They're purely running on bullshit platitudes of healing the soul of the nation and shit like that, which doesn't help a minimum wage worker who's struggling through COVID trying to make their rent. That doesn't mean anything to them.
Dude, it's like the problem though is like the actual problem is that the Democratic leadership is all neolibs. So any of their policies actually align seemingly more with the fucking Republicans. And it's like they actually can't advocate for the Republican policies though, right? Because they're Republican policies. So what are they to do?
Right.
They can't offer actual solutions to anything because they don't have solutions. Like that's the problem. And even they don't even want to get solutions because they're essentially, funded by the same people as the Republicans, and they want capitalism to reign. And as long as you want like unregulated capitalism, you're gonna, you know what I mean? And you're funded by people like that, you're going to essentially want to fail. It's like it's bad. Like it's hard to say that it's not like this is negligence, complete negligence, and it's almost like willful negligence. It's wild. But that's like another conversation that it's hard to like you can't prove that really, but it's getting back into the AOC thing. The reason that they were raising money, and part of what the money went to, right, is eviction defense. Mm-hmm. And Nick sent me some great articles about this and said that it's a pretty big problem in LA right now. Is that what you're saying, or just in general? I mean, I'm sure it's in general as well, but did you hear about it initially from
in California? In California in general and in the country, we have a massive eviction crisis looming. Just because in general, a lot of the protections that were placed to keep people from being evicted from their homes are going to expire soon. And a lot of the people who potentially face eviction are either not making money right now or making substantially less than they did. So we are approaching, a flashpoint of just massive homelessness, essentially, of people who have nowhere to go, who won't have a roof over their heads.
Are you able to pull up the CNBC article that you linked me real quick? This is crazy.
See
actually,
if I'm capable of that.
It might be a tough one. So this is actually insane. Of course, did not read the full article yet because Nick linked it to me and we go over these, like, we breeze through them. If Nick sends them to me, I breeze through them, and if I send it to him, he breezes through them, and whoever sent them takes the lead. But this is actually crazy, dude. This map, the facing eviction percentages map.
Oh yeah, no,
that's insane, man.
Really disturbing.
It's like so obvious. So now that, like, it's so obvious because, like, we've known for so long that Americans live on their next paycheck, and what's happening right now is a lot of Americans aren't getting that next paycheck. So what happens? Like, you're not. But the problem also, the thing is this is a systematic problem, and people, like, if you're a landlord, this is a problem for you too. And that's what people don't understand. They think that whenever you have, like, unregulated capitalism, that yes, it does favor the wealthy a lot, but ultimately that shit crashes, and the wealthy will even the like marginally wealthy will be hurt as well, right? And the only people that truly prosper through this are, like, fucking bajillionaires. You know what I mean? You don't see wealthy people being, you kind of do because the stock market's being, like, bloated right now. But even with the stock market not being bloated, places like things like the tech stocks would still be rising because of how important they are becoming now in this, like, new age, like post-COVID, right? It's like, it's crazy. Yeah. And those are the only people truly benefiting from this type of shit. Really. And it's crazy. Like, my parents used to rent out a house or two. I think they only rented out one, but they're like redoing one. But yeah, and like, this is, this would be horrible for them if they're still renting out a house and, like, people couldn't pay. Like, what are you gonna fucking do? Evict them? Yeah, then you have no one buying your shit, or like, no, who's renting? Like, if this many people are getting fucking evicted, I mean, yeah, people would like to do it, but they're all, like, you're not going to want to get anybody that just got evicted. I don't know. It's just like and then you have homeless people. If you're like, of course they won't not all be homeless, but you'll have a massive housing crisis. And I'm pretty sure already there's, like, a massive percentages of houses in the US that just aren't occupied, which is ridiculous. I really think that there should be some sort of big tax on houses that aren't occupied.
Hold on, I'm going to pull this. Dude. I'm going to pull up the. Yeah, let me pull up the stat on California.
Dude, my parents, nothing they hate more, nothing would get them more to get somebody to live in their house for cheap. Like, if this happened, right? And like, say, like, somebody had to leave their house because they couldn't pay rent anymore. They had to evict them, and they had to find another person, but there was, like, a bunch of, like, kind of less good applicants. Nothing would get them to get a, whatever applicant applies, then fucking putting taxes on a unoccupied house that were high. Like, that would be awesome if they put, like, high taxes on unoccupied houses. And I'm sure they do this in areas already, but, like, but yeah. What did the
so for example in California, the estimated homeless population as of the end of 2019 is about 150,000 people. Now, as of March 2020, the estimated number of vacant dwellings in California is 1.5 million.
That's awesome.
Insane.
That's like it, dude. It's just like, whenever you see it like that, it's so easy. Whenever you look at, it's like, if we just came together and didn't have capitalism, right? Like, I'm not necessarily advocating for that, but I'm just saying, like, if we were just to sit down, if every human in the world were to sit down and be like, we have this many resources and we have this many people. How are we going to best allocate these resources to these people so that we all have a great quality of life? There would be solutions. There would be solutions that could happen that would eliminate all of the problems in the world. And kind of capitalism doesn't allow for that to happen properly.
On that point, when you have like people, so when you talk about, ending homelessness, and always the response, as is to any policy that would, in any way improve the lives of people, the automatic response is, that's unrealistic. we can't do that. That's unrealistic. Well, in the case of California, at least, and I'm sure this is common around the country, we are absolutely capable of it. We could absolutely house every homeless person. And the only downside of that is that someone isn't getting their cut. It's not about what's actually feasible or, what will improve the lives of the most people. It's literally a knee-jerk reaction of, well, someone's not going to get their cut, so we can't have, homes for everyone. It's so ridiculous. 100%. And
it's like they're valuing stuff being unfair more than quality of life, or really just valuing humanity is really what it is. Honestly, it's kind of crazy. And I don't know if
and it's the thing is that one thing that gets annoying is that, like, as is the case with many leftist policy proposals, a lot of times the argument that's made on the side of the left, for instance, with universal housing, would be saying, something like, housing is a basic human right. Now, that's not how we should approach that issue, though I personally agree with that sentiment. First of all, you're never going to change someone's mind who doesn't believe that. What we should be talking about is how providing homes for the entire population would have demonstrably positive impacts on our society. It would decrease crime. It would increase the quality of life of people.
Dude, that's actually so true.
At least
I try to make that point a lot, and it takes me a second to, like, you kind of have to step back and realize, like, if people are voting for themselves, if they're entirely selfish, even do a lot of these policies that help like directly help other people indirectly benefit everybody else, and that is honestly the reason why a lot of them are put in place. And people don't fucking realize that, man. People don't realize that if we give stimulus checks to people, if we literally give stimulus checks to people, not even tax cuts, because tax cuts are pretty bad for poor people, right? Because it's very indirect and you don't get it immediately, and people need money right now. If you give stimulus checks to people instead of fucking businesses, man, instead of big businesses right now, instead of bailouts, this money gets put right back into the economy. It gets put back to us, right? It's like these small businesses are helped everything. It's crazy. And there's so many policies like that. So much welfare. So many welfare policies benefit everybody just by improving the quality of the nation, right? You don't want to be living with homeless people. Nobody, like, I'm not to crap on homeless people, but, like, it's not a good thing to have in your community, a homeless problem, right? And if you can fix it, that's a good thing. It also, like you said, it's linked to crime, all of that stuff. It's these solutions, even though they cost, like, they technically cost money, there's room to shift around in the budget for that, more efficiently. There's ways to tax a little bit more, stuff like that. But a lot of them you don't even need to tax more, and you can still create a better, like, just nation. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. No, we're pretty twisted in that capacity, and it's that's the point I'm making, is that it's not even an emotional argument, though it should be. And the issue of homelessness probably should make you feel bad. It's literally just pragmatism. It is doing the most utilitarian thing that will improve your community and your society.
Even like you're saying, even if it didn't actually improve your society, you should still want to. I'm not going to say that you should. I'm just going to say that I personally would want people to have houses, even if it impacted me in a negative way. But it doesn't. The fact is that it would impact me in a positive way outside of how I feel about that, right? It would impact nearly everybody in the community in a positive way. And the cost of it would be very, very, very minimal to a vast majority of people in the community. And that's just the facts of it. Like you're saying, it's very pragmatic if you think about it like that, and it's a very easy approach. Now, I want to get to one more thing you said about how people don't think that these things are feasible. A lot of like left-leaning ideas and a lot of left-leaning policies are feasible. And that's what I hear from my dad, who's like 100% a lib, right? He is like a Democrat. He's like in teachers union and shit. And every time I tell him about stuff like this, like, universal health care, colleges, all public colleges in the US being free, stuff like that. He's like, that's not happening. Like, there's no way that that's going to happen. But, and I think that like, after talking to him more, just having a couple conversations, like maybe one every 2 months or something about random shit like this, he seems to have come around on a lot of it, which is pretty interesting. And I don't know. I think that that's like one of the arguments that's most easily debunked whenever they say that, because it has so little behind it, and it's just what they think, because it's like what they hear from like fucking news networks without doing any more investigation themselves into seeing how these policies will be paid for. Like, I think Bernie Sanders had on his website had a literal like fucking list of, oh, we're going to pay for this with this policy. We're going to pay for this with this policy. We're going to pay for this policy with this tax, or with this like rebudgeting from the fucking military or whatever. And like, there's so much like it's not like an abstract thing. It's not like, oh, we're going to do this and then we'll find the money eventually. It's like they know how to find the money already. We know where it is. We're overspending on a lot of shit. We're not an efficient government necessarily, and we can be a lot better. But yeah.
Yeah, when you say that some kind of or policy that promotes progress is not feasible, you're like spitting on the graves of every person who has strived to innovate or move society forward in some capacity. It's such an insult to the human capability. We obviously, like, when you think about when we were in feudal times, I'm sure there were serfs who were saying, hey, we could probably have better lives and do better than this. And I'm sure a fucking massive majority of them were like, how would we live in a world without lords? That's not possible. That's a pie in the sky idea. What are you talking about? And so when you spend your whole time discussing what we can't do and what we're incapable of, you're devaluing yourself and the entire human race.
Yep. People need to sit down and think about people need to sit down and think about like what the end, like what their ideal human ecosystem would look like what humanity would look like.
What do you look at society today? Yeah, like, is this the peak? Is this our best? This is the best we can do.
This is the best we can do.
We got thousands of years. This was the end result. We had our shot,
man,
and we got fucking McDonald's. That was our peak.
I feel like that
was what society was progressing towards.
So we've made a massive amount of technological progress in the past, since like around the 80s and 60s even. But in terms of like, and scientific progress as well, I guess too. But in terms of politics, we haven't really changed too much, which is kind of crazy. That's something that I'd like to look into, I guess. But I guess we should start moving on. We're about 30 minutes into this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So
good idea.
yeah. So yeah, so COVID's pretty fucking bad right now. We're hitting about the United States reported more than 205,000 new
Actually,
COVID cases.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, sorry. Those are only the case. Those are cases where people died with like lung cancer and they called it COVID or whatever because they caught COVID at the very end of it. No, but that's like the worst fucking argument I've ever heard. Like I mean, you see people like you see those fucking doctors on TikTok, or like they'll be like, like medical workers somehow, and they'll be like, well, actually, I work in a hospital, and I saw someone like that was a relative of mine died, and they marked it as a COVID death. But dude, like if you okay, first off, I don't want to get into that, but yeah, there's like that's all bullshit. These
Yeah,
numbers of
no,
people getting
that's
COVID and dying from COVID are legitimate.
Yeah, I'll see like some person post on their Instagram story like, "Hey, you sheep idiots! My cousin's best friend is a nurse, and they're marking everyone as having COVID. You idiots!" And it's just like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like,
Dude.
what? I don't. One thing for me, and I don't know. I don't know if anyone will ever watch this, but if there's someone who's a fucking nut job who's watching this, and you believe that it's all a conspiracy, the one question that even when I've poured through, all the just fucking insanity over COVID that there is now, is that no one can explain if it's all a conspiracy and it's not real. What is the end game for the people who orchestrated it? What is their end objective and what are they achieving? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Now, do I think that it's possible that some numbers are off and whatnot and that some studies are off a little bit? Yeah, sure. Who the fuck stands to gain from this?
It's because the government, it's because of like, okay, it's like essentially the same concept as the Patriot Act, I guess is probably what they would argue then. Right, it's like, but they're on the side of the Patriot Act, which is crazy, you know what I mean, for the most part, right? Like it's like a 9/11 type event, whereas if I were to be if I plain devil's advocate, hate saying that, I hate being one of those fucking people, but like those people are actually the worst, but like that would probably be their argument. Right, you know what I mean? Like it's like it's just like power grab for the government and like whoever they think's in charge of shit. Because the conspiracy theorists think that like everybody's in charge of shit. Like it's very weird. I'm not sure. Did we talk about this in the last one? But it's so funny. Oh wait, you go.
It doesn't make sense though. It doesn't make sense because one, like no matter what, the policies surrounding COVID are hurting the economy.
Also, like, dude, like you're saying,
who would supposedly be in control, the people who would supposedly be in control of this conspiracy would obviously be members of the plutocracy and the uber wealthy. So,
well, dude, it's like okay,
this conspiracy would hurt their wealth.
It makes no sense
and
because
beyond that,
if the government, right? If it's the government, even so, right? If it's the government, what do they get? What is this control? They don't get anything. They're not allowed to spy on people. They're not allowed. Like, what do they get from like locking people down by telling people to stay in their houses? You get legitimate things from the Patriot Act. You get to actually further your agenda on that shit. You don't get anything from this. Yeah, that definitely debunks it. Then, like, I don't.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is that in the minds of like the conservative conspiracy theorists, what it boils down to is the Democrats in power like somehow satisfying some kind of underlying control fetish, and thus that's why they have concocted an international conspiracy to lock down the world. That's what it like. There isn't an actual material benefit. All of these politicians from this era are going to be voted out of office soon because of this, and they know that because it's unpopular. Everything's unpopular. Everything surrounded COVID is unpopular, and a lot of these politicians will get voted out at some point because of this. So it's not like they're going to consolidate power, and it's not like the uber rich are consolidating, like they're bolstering the economy. It's I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. But people are like pretty convinced of it. But I mean, it's definitive, right? It's getting bad, right? It's getting pretty bad. 1,400 deaths on Friday. And man, I think it's gonna get a lot worse. That's kind of what this article says. But what we should pretty much expect a surge. We're nearly 265,000 Americans dead due to the coronavirus so far. Experts fear a post-Thanksgiving surge is just the beginning. It's definitely quite scary. That's for sure. I mean, like, people are saying, like, that was... How many people died on Friday? 1,400? That's 9/11, right? I mean, what, 1,200 people died in 9/11 or something?
No, that's less. That's less than...
Was 9/11 2,200?
It was like... It was 2,997, I think. Something very close to that.
Okay, so let's say throughout the week at least, that's the amount of people that died in 9/11. People should be concerned about this. And that's additional deaths too. Those are not going to be like dude. I don't know if you saw the graph that I shared the one day, but it was, I mean, you've probably seen it because it got pretty popular around that time. But it like showed the graph of the deaths from the previous year, and like kind of like flu season goes up a little bit, and then it shows the additional deaths on top of that this year, and it's just crazy. It is just crazy, but
it's not deniable. There's even if you're not looking at COVID, like the amount of deaths total of any causes in the United States has increased substantially this year. So either you believe that that's a coincidence and COVID's still not real, or you can realize that it actually has killed a lot of people. Maybe it's slightly less, maybe it's slightly more. It's not, I don't know. It's all so fucking stupid.
I think there's like a lot of bad actors. Like a lot of people that know this is like that this is like what they're saying is bullshit and actually just peddling it. Like, there's a lot of people doing that.
I mean, this is all just an indictment on individualism and the generally self-entitled, petulant child character that has kind of, just sucked in, I'd say, a lot of Americans. And it is just a stinging indictment of that character, that people just don't care. At the end of the day, they care more about the idealism of being able to do what they want to do over protecting themselves or protecting anyone around them and protecting people they don't even know. And it's just, I mean, I don't know, hopefully one day the general community, not just liberals, will look back on this and actually analyze how the character that had been built, political character that had been built for decades in this country, ultimately had a collapsing effect when people were actually tested with a situation where, by and large, their personal actions could affect the lives of others substantially.
Yep. It's crazy, man. It really is crazy. It's like you're saying, it's like finally coming to fruition.
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we're reaping what we sow.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I mean, like, it's okay. If you were to say who's to blame for the COVID crisis, who in America specifically, let's just like presume that, let's just like take it as an assumption that we are handling it worse than other countries. Who's to blame for that?
I genuinely am going to go back to what I said, and that the current state of COVID in the United States is more the responsibility of the political think tanks and the political media the past 50 years than it is, the current politicians. Though, don't get me wrong, they certainly have a hand in this too. There's blood on their hands, absolutely. But it is the unique situation of the United States in comparison to other countries as far as suffering at a substantially higher rate, I believe personally is attributed to the, it's how we've been trained to think as Americans, and it's a largely, self-preservation and, self-benefit, and how can I do what I want to do regardless of how it affects others, because that is my right. And that, I think that we're seeing, the result of that. But who do you think is most responsible?
All right, so that's a very tough question. I really think that I think that if like the thought leaders of the Republicans, the Republicans both in media and in really having any pedestal at all to speak on, I really think that they are probably the most to blame, right? I don't think that if they had came out and said, hey, yo, like this is truly a problem, like we need to do this, I don't think that this would have been a problem, man. I really don't. Like, could you, I mean, if Trump, okay, like these people look up to Trump, man.
It wouldn't have been as bad.
I think that, so the problem is like, so right, like you're kind of blaming the side of like people not taking it seriously, right? And kind of saying that because people didn't take it seriously, that's why it got so bad. I think it's a mixture of how we initially responded to it, and then kind of like how the more conservative side of things dealt with stuff after that, even, and kind of portrayed it in the media, trying to play it off because their initial fallings, or specifically Trump's initial like playing it down. And he was kind of like, this is essentially like how it's like whenever you're caught in a lie, like how far will you fucking take it before you're finally willing to like give in and concede, like, oh, I fucked up, you know what I mean? And I feel like this has just been that in the entire time, and it's the entire Republican Party doing it, or just like conservative media in general not wanting to accept that they were like wrong on this one thing. And I think that that's like literally led to people's deaths, right? Because I think it's a mixture of that. I think it's a mixture of policy and also because clearly more conservative states are having people contract COVID at higher rates. We've seen studies of that already. So it is clearly policies, but it is also, like you're saying, it's also as a general consensus of like American like identity. They don't want to wear fucking masks, right? But I think that the policy would help, and then also people would wear more masks, at least through my train of thought. Like, of course, I don't have any fucking empirical data for this, but I think that if Republicans said, hey guys, we're wearing masks and everything, you guys should wear masks and everything, let's do this, I don't think that it would have even been an issue. Man, it's just so fucking dumb. And yeah, this is probably gonna be a long one, but it's definitely good. So my sister is she's an L, I guess, of the LGBTQ. She might be the B. I'm not 100% certain, but she's definitely part of that. And Oreo, I'm not sure if you've seen this anywhere, but Oreo sent packs of the rainbow Oreos out to people as part of a social media in order. I don't know if they were encouraged to post it on social media once they got it, or if that was just something that they did for, like, I don't know what, if there were any other things that came with the fucking package of Oreos, but they sent out these packages of Oreos to people in the LGBTQ community is essentially what happened. And my sister sent that in, or put that on her fucking Instagram story, and I was like, damn, I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's kind of fucked up. And I don't know if that's just me being very cynical, but like, I even texted her and like, my family, and I was like, yo, like, Adeline, I think that Oreo's kind of exploiting you here. And I was like, wow, I don't necessarily I think that you're essentially being used by this massive corporation, and I think that that's a bad thing, and I actually think you should maybe not post the stuff like that for them. Um, and she was like, listen, I just think it was a good thing for them to do, and they donate money to LGBTQ stuff and stuff like that. And I was kind of at a crossroads, and I had to sit down and think about this a good bit. Like, is corporate donations? There's a word for it. I can't think of it, but I listened to a whole Freakonomics podcast on it once, and it's like, are corporations, do they have like souls essentially? And they don't. They essentially don't, right? And when they do stuff like this, it is solely because it helps their bottom line. If they could donate to the KKK and it would help them reach their goals, they would do that too, right? If it would make them profit to donate to the KKK, they would. It doesn't matter about the validity of any of the issues or any of the causes they donate to. They donate to stuff because it makes them money. And I think that kind of cheapens any donations that they make, right? And I think that makes, at least if I were part of that community, if I were part of some community that they were donating to, I would feel used, and I would feel like my cause is then cheapened by this massive corporation hijacking it essentially for their own benefit. So what do you think about that?
I mean, first off, I'm definitely not qualified to evaluate this. That's kind of up to the people, the community, to ultimately reach their own personal conclusions on. In general, as far as corporate support for social justice initiatives go, I think there's an overwhelming volume of evidence that they are largely disingenuous. These companies aren't, in many cases, and it's not, 100% true, they support causes that are seen to be, preferred by the public, and use that to, to enrich themselves. And often these are the same corporations that will be donating large sums of money to, the GOP and conservative super PACs and Team Trump. So I definitely think it's disingenuous. I will say, though, that it boils down to the people who actually belong to the communities that are subject to those kind of marketing campaigns, and to determine for themselves if they see the good being done, the positive messaging being sent out into the world is outweighs the exploitative factor of it, where to some extent that company is using whatever social movement that may be for personal profit. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I think there's definitely a significant, there's definitely a significant disingenuous side to it, but each person has to, reach their own conclusions on that.
Now, I think this can, it's kind of interesting. I think this can be compared, right? So humans donate to, like, causes, right? And I would almost have to argue that there's no selfless acts that you can truly do, because if anything, people do these selfless things to make themselves feel better internally, right? Like, it is in that manner, then it is selfish, right? There's nothing entirely selfless, right? And kind of like, that's what I see with these corporations, because whereas we would at least feel better from doing things for other people, and that makes us happy, and that is for the most part selfless, right? This is for the most part a good thing. Corporations, essentially, rather than getting that good feeling for themselves, they get that good feeling from people that support them at that point. And I think that that's like, I just think that that's weird. But completely agree with you. I think that you make a very good point saying that like it's kind of up to the communities that they're helping to decide this. And figure out like, is it worth it? I just don't think that there's always like that conscious decision. Maybe there is, and I'm just not, I'm not super in tune with these communities, but maybe there is. And I think that it's something that people should be made more aware of in general, so they can then make a decision like, yo, are we being exploited here, or are we, or is this like legitimately helping us more than it is hurting us, or more than we are being exploited? Like, is it worth it to sell out for this, essentially, for a lot of these communities? And
Right.
I don't know, it's a tough decision, and I imagine it'd be hard to get a consensus behind that for certain communities and whatnot. But yeah. Now let's get over to our. Funny enough, our Newsweek article, Trump calls Fox News virtually unwatchable, points followers to OANN, which it's colloquially known as OWN, One American News Network. I believe it stands for in Newsmax. So I don't know if anybody, me and Nick have definitely seen these sites frequently. Nick, have you ever seen Babylon Bee?
I have.
You have, yeah. So like Babylon Bee is not a serious one, but there's a bunch of these new networks and like just essentially like media companies, various different. They have various different frameworks, but Newsmax is, I believe, it frames itself to be essentially like a Fox or like a CNN, like a serious news network with political pundits that they have on their website. So. We just wanted this for the title because this is something that people have been saying. The Trump supporters are now distancing themselves from Fox because of the Arizona call.
Yeah, and just in general, that over the past few weeks,
Yeah,
various Fox personalities, they are still very they hide their opinions very carefully, but they have in some capacities acknowledged that Biden is the president-elect. And
are you fucking kidding me?
Trump, and it's angered his base.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
The media doesn't decide the election unless it's every other election in which no one contests what the media says. That's not me saying that the media actually calls it. It's saying that every person who's now saying that is a massive fucking hypocrite, just massively, because I know there were not conservatives saying that the media doesn't pick the winner, the people do, the day after Trump got elected in 2016, when the media called it, and when it was a very close race, substantially closer than this fucking year.
Substantially
as far as
closer.
Individual states went. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty fucking, everything's stupid.
So I want to get wrap back around to these new networks. So essentially, now that Trump is calling Fox News unwatchable, he's positioning himself pretty well to do what a lot of people are thinking he's going to do, and that is form his own media company. I think that's quite interesting. Whether he were to take over and acquire one of these, right? Which maybe that's the case if he actually points followers to these. Let's read this tweet. Oh, stop. This tweet's fucking ridiculous. I wish I would have read this. Oh, god damn it. God damn it, dude. All right. He adds Fox News. This is just like so blatant. I thought that it was going to be a little bit more subtle than this. He says daytime is virtually unwatchable, especially Fox News daytime is virtually unwatchable, especially during the weekends. It literally says watch at OANN, Newsmax, or almost anything else, and like adds them both. You won't have to suffer through those endless interviews with Democrats, and even worse. Dude, like, that is like the best tweet I've ever seen. And I've said that 1,000 times when reading Trump's tweets. These are that's just funny, man.
I mean, yeah.
That's like, I'm gonna miss this, honestly. Like, Trump actually is a fucking funny guy. Honestly, but dude, like,
he is funny. One of the funniest one of the funniest things he's done in these past few weeks. This was definitely not him intentionally being funny. Was after Benjamin Netanyahu congratulated Joe Biden on Twitter, and to be clear, Netanyahu has been a very close ally of Trump on the international stage. After Netanyahu tweeted out his congratulations, Trump fucking unfollowed him on Twitter like a fucking
so
12-year-old. Like, dude, unfollowing
we're about to
their friend that they're in a fight with.
If this is what gets us to back out of like our Israel commitments, imagine Netanyahu congratulating.
Just pure pettiness.
Would it be a bad thing? No. Blessings in disguise, man. But yeah, I think that, okay, I just want to hit a couple things before we move on. We got let's stay like a minute or two on this, right? The OANN and the Newsmax are essentially just like far right, very, very, very far right news networks that essentially like peddle bullshit. And that's why Trump likes them. They suck Trump's, little dick. And here's Newsmax, and I just want to show you how. Look at this fucking website. Like, Nick, I don't know if you can pull up Newsmax, but this website looks like it's actually like, I don't know, like in eBay in fucking like 2000 in like 8 or whatever is what this looks like. Probably even earlier. It looks like you would actually have trouble loading it. Like, how back in the day we had like dial up and shit, and you would like it would like slowly load the pictures that were on the screen. Like you would start at the top and it would load down.
This is awesome.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. You can go down and see their insiders. I feel like we're doing an advertisement for Newsmax. By the way, this is a sponsored podcast for newsmax.com. No, but yeah, this is essentially what this is. And I hadn't seen it for a while, but it started popping up a lot recently. And yeah, and I think they're getting interviews with conservative media people, like that fucking woman. I saw she had an interview, that fucking woman from Trump's team that what was it? She was like part of their like election fraud committee for like suing people and shit, and she was working with Rudy Giuliani or something. But yeah, like they've got all these people, and Ron Paul is one of the insiders. Jesus Christ. But yeah, you can go check out their media if you want to, because it's actually very funny. But I would just say the main thing I would say, keep a watch out for these. These are going to be the new conservative media. Fox is going to be positioned now. They're probably going to position themselves to be the center, is what they might do. I don't know. They might not. They might still try to be like the conservative one, but just the normal. I don't know.
They're going to be conservative still.
I agree, but I think that since they're distancing themselves from Trump, maybe it's just a paradigm shift, and they stay where they are. But maybe in how the average American sees it, maybe they are then becoming the center, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But regardless of how that happens, I think if it does even happen, which I hope it doesn't, I don't think it will, but maybe. I want to say that I think Donald Trump really is positioning himself to just become a media person after this. I think that that's really what he wants. I think that he's obsessed with the media.
He is. I don't know. So when I look at like that stuff, I would say what he has done, what he did first with Fox and is now doing with Newsmax and OAN is, to his fucking credit, it's genius. He has convinced half of most powerful country in the world's population that all of the media cannot be trusted except for the ones that agree with him. And for half of the population, he has infinite credibility now. And all of the media that they consume will support him. It's the ultimate echo chamber. To a certain extent, these people are no longer, they're no longer concerned with politics. They're not concerned with the news. They're concerned with getting words of affirmation that they're correct. And that's what it's kind of devolving down to, which to a certain extent is very sad. But in Trump's case, it's incredible. His influence is massive, which leads me to believe, though I think it's plausible that he'll start his own media company, I wouldn't sell him that short. I don't know what the fuck he's gonna do because no one does, including him. But I think that he is going to have, he is going to continue to have influence on a lot of things in this country and not just the media. And he is going to, if he doesn't run for, um, run for president in 2024, he is just going to, for the rest of his life, try to whatever extent that he can to be the man behind the curtain pulling the strings. So that'll be interesting to watch. I have no fucking clue what that'll look like.
This is most certainly
probably terrible.
Yep, this is like you see. This is like the end of a movie, man, and it's like one of them shitty movies. You're gonna see a sequel of, and he like gets kicked off the ledge, right? And it's like he's like, "You haven't seen the last of me," and we're gonna see this is not the last we've seen of Trump. We're gonna see a lot more of them, but yeah, this website's fucking bad, man. Newsmax shitty website. All right, now let's go to this. Jeff Bezos.
Like a blog.
Oh man, yeah, it's weird. Also, wait, one more thing. I don't want to spend much time on this, but there's ways that you can see how much earned media that Trump has, and even compared to other candidates. And just this article I have over here just shows that Trump, even compared to Hillary Clinton, whenever they were running in 2016, the month up until the election, Trump earned, I think it was over. Oh, stop. Why do they have this? They have the Happy Cinco de Mayo tweet up here. But regardless, he had like $800 million of earned free media broadcasts compared to $666 million for Clinton. And he had almost double hers in online news attention. That's broadcast. The first one was broadcast media, and he had $2.6 billion in free earned online news attention compared to 1.6 for his rival Clinton, which is crazy. That's actually crazy. And I've seen, I don't know if you've seen this recently. I forget who the reporter was. She was a woman, and I forget where she works. This is horrible that I'm saying this because I should remember all this, but she was essentially talking about how it is the reporter's duty to not do that and kind of make things equal. And people, dude, I feel like this was on Hassan's stream for some reason, but I don't think it was. But there's in England, right? Aren't they like guaranteed? I'm pretty sure they're guaranteed broadcast time for candidates. If you're from a specific party, or maybe you're just running for an election, they guarantee in different countries broadcast time for you, so you're given a platform. And I think that honestly there should be like some sort of election reform to limit how much earned media you can even have, and kind of force networks to allow or not to allow to have to give airtime to candidates to kind of give their point. This was now I'm remembering it. This was
you
Bernie
realized
Sanders.
That was a thing. And then
back in the day,
Reagan administration worked very hard to repeal that law. That was a thing.
I was listening to Bernie Sanders. That's where it came from. He was saying that. That's what it was. But yeah, he wasn't saying what I was saying about like the earned media stuff, but mainly about how the other countries do that stuff. Because dude, we like in fucking debates and shit, we can't understand what people's actual policies are. It's essentially just it's like a show, man. It's like a fucking reality show. You don't understand anything. But yeah, moving on. Let's get to this Jeff Bezos part. Jeff Bezos reveals he gets oh man. So Jeff Bezos, I'm just gonna read the title and then kind of go into what this article actually says. Jeff Bezos reveals he gets 8 hours of sleep, makes just 3 decisions a day, and has all his important meetings in the morning. Man, that sounds like a good life, huh? Except the important meetings in the morning part. But according to him, they aren't actually in the morning. His definition of the morning is 10 a.m.
His fucking important meetings are probably so fucking weird and stupid. It's probably like, I don't know, some fucking weird nerds telling him how good he is, and then him making some absurd proclamation about how he's the most powerful man in the world. and just
Dude,
like I can't even
you,
imagine. Like
okay,
I can't imagine first of all that he's actually doing anything to contribute to Amazon's success on an idea front. And I know a lot of like billionaire fanboys will be like, no, he but no, I fucking doubt that. Any meetings he is having are just him self-aggrandizing. Like it's
dude,
not like
okay.
he's coming up with the solutions to whatever problems are facing Amazon workers.
Do you watch Silicon Valley?
Watch some of it.
Sure. Well, you got to watch some more, but it's pretty funny representation of these people, and I feel like it's fairly accurate. And I mean, they take an inspiration
Yeah,
from
they're all
actual.
psychos.
They are. They're just sickos. They're weirdos, man. But regardless,
Yeah.
he essentially this is in his new book called Invent and Wonder. Also sponsored by we're also sponsored by Amazon Books. Make sure to go check out Invent and Wonder on the Amazon bookstore. Is that even a fucking thing? Do they even have a bookstore? Like, didn't they start? They started out as a bookstore, but do they even have one anymore? The fucking Kindle, man. But he says so. He lays the groundwork.
They sell books on
They
Amazon.
sell books, yeah. I mean, I fucking owe them a textbook from my girlfriend. She just rented it, and it's due back. So yeah, fuck me. But
Wait,
essentially, he says,
I have something that's something I just remembered
yeah, yeah.
about Amazon.
I thought you were gonna say you remembered the textbook you didn't return.
Thing. So I don't know if you know like what Pinkertons are. They're originally these essentially like mercenaries that were hired in the Wild Wild West by private corporations to do the bidding of nations in the frontier of America, and like basically battled with, you know, all the fucking characters of the West back in our early history, and they still like technically exist to some capacity. I don't really understand how, but Amazon works like employs Pinkertons, like the modern day
That's that's like a actual business name, isn't it? Isn't it a actual
like to union bust?
I've heard of that. I remember.
To like, yeah, they do surveillance on employees who they think might be starting unions, which is just so fucking psychotic.
Yeah, I just brought it up. I remember now because I heard someone else say this. It's an actual fucking company, right? So it was like a meme essentially back in the day.
Yeah.
Right? Because of this company, right? And the company is still around, right? And it is
yeah,
that's actually ridiculous. They're a detective agency. That is so fucking funny. That's like a fucking evil villain type shit, man. Like, that is so funny. God damn it.
That's so actually I was wrong about the self-aggrandizing part. So when Jeff Bezos has his 3 meetings in the morning, it's him meeting with fucking mercenaries to discuss how he can terrorize the lives of his fucking low-wage earning workers who slave away packaging fucking random shit to get shipped off all over the world. Those are his big ideas. How can we break labor movements among my very exploited employees?
Yep. No, that's the important stuff though. I mean, that's how you stay a billionaire, man. But yeah, so in this he says by 10 a.m. he's ready to take on, well, okay, first off, before 10 a.m. he gets a full 8 hours of sleep every night, allowing time for puttering in the morning, right? And by 10 a.m. after he's done puttering, that's in quotations, that's directly from him. After he's done puttering at 10 a.m., he's ready to take on what he calls his high IQ meetings of the day, which is, that's fucking weird, man. Oh, god damn it, it's so fucking weird.
It's just, it fucking sucks.
His high IQ meetings. And when the clock hits 5 p.m., he shelves anything high IQ until tomorrow. Oh, god. Bezos says he aims to fit 3 decisions into that period. Dude, I wish I could fucking... He's just
a lazy fuck.
Okay, no, let's be real. Like, that's not... Okay. that's not lazy, right? I think that that's what most people should be doing with their lives, right? Right, like you can't okay, let's like be honest, like, and nobody, there's a lot of studies done, nobody can work efficiently for more than like, I think it's like more than like 6 hours a day. I don't think it is. You lose a lot of productivity if you start working that much longer, and especially in terms of like mental stimulating work, you lose a lot of productivity and you start becoming actually more prone to errors, I believe, after that time. But what he's doing is working like a normal human should. But it's so ironic because he doesn't allow his own workers to work like this, which is crazy. And nearly all Americans are not able to work like this.
It's not crazy. It's just it's less profit. It's less profit for Big Jeff.
This is the last thing that we have for today, but I just wanted to show this. I thought this was really fucking funny. I don't know if anybody goes on the conservative subreddit, like r/conservative, or any like, and like I don't know why I go on this shit. I just think it's funny, and I like seeing both sides and like articles from stuff on both sides. And I actually get more shit from my like Reddit algorithm from conservative stuff because I end up clicking it far more than I do on any of the like liberal stuff. For some godforsaken reason, I do that more, but yeah. So I found this, and it says it's titled "Liberals' Heads Explode After CNN Video Surfaces Showing Path for Trump 2020 Win." It's from usmagspress.com / like liberals' heads explode. And it's, you go to the website, it's a fucking horror. It's not even a website. It's not even it's like a WordPress, but really badly designed. It's like almost, did I link it to you, Nick? Let me link it to you real quick so you can see this, but this is the website. But like, oh god damn it. And it's like liberals aren't even really doing this. Here's your chance to scream internally. I like, it's just them outlining how Trump could possibly like steal the election. It's kind of, but anyway, what the funny part was,
are you trying to
like interpret the article because it's so fucking dumb. Like it's not an article, it's just,
I'm at my point of just not really giving a fucking shit about the election anymore. It's too exhausting. It's just, we're approaching a circumstance where every 4 years we have a presidential election and half the population doesn't accept the results. That's kind of the precedent that is being set by this election. And the ball got started rolling with that in 2016, but now it's really bad. So I just don't care.
Okay, so the best part though, it's not actually the article or the title of the article, right? It's this first comment. It's the spin of a conservative member of this subreddit, which makes this so good. And he says, it's that guy 1792 conservative is his tag, posted 10 hours ago. This is playing into the mainstream media's cards. Declare a winner, make crazy liberals happy, shut down all fraud allegations even though it's in court, right? Completely blindside people with Trump's victory, cause mass chaos in the street, and blame everything on dictator Trump. So as you can see in this guy's narrative, what's happening is Trump is going to win, actually. And we're all going to be blindsided by it because the media, and this is not to mention, this is the media doing this. This is what the media wants, and the mainstream media, including Fox now, is trying to, they want us to riot in the streets, for some reason. I mean, I kind of could see it, like their like connection for that, but like that's a bit of a stretch, and I think that this is pretty funny. Mass chaos in the streets.
The mental gymnastics in just like 4D chess that segments of the conservatives are partaking in to rationalize what has happened and to cope with it is breathtaking. Dude. And I can say similarly to how you've gotten super sucked into conservative Reddit, that has happened to me on TikTok, and it's a fucking nightmare. These people, they just fucking say anything. They don't give a shit, and I kind of respect it. It's kind of fucking dope, but they just say fucking anything. They'll just say, like, they have no, and I'm not trying to act like have any kind of advanced knowledge of the judicial process. I'd say I have a pretty average to maybe slightly above average understanding of, you know,
I mean, after seeing some of these people, I'd have to say we both have a pretty better understanding than average.
They will just say shit that, like, you'll read and it will be like it's like it doesn't make sense. It's not even like, oh, that's not right. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they'll just say, like, I think there's a large segment of the population that's convinced themselves that the Supreme Court is like the authority in the election, and that they are like, that they just like get to choose, like they have no concept of like that lawsuits have to reach to the court. They think that like the Supreme Court can just be like, actually, we have found that we're going to overturn Pennsylvania for Donald J. Trump. Like, no, you have to go through the appellate process to reach the Supreme Court, and that's only if the Supreme Court chooses to hear your case. Even beyond that, they will not fucking acknowledge this. They don't believe it, because it's a very hard pill to swallow. The filings that the Trump campaign has made thus far, they don't allege fraud. They don't allege fraud, and the issues with the election that they are seeking damages for are for minuscule amounts of votes. Like, these cases aren't going to have an impact on the election results. And, you know, you can't, once you've filed a lawsuit and it's, you know, been dismissed, yeah, it can go up to the Supreme Court, you know, through appeals, but you can't add new evidence onto that case or add new claims onto it. You're retrying the same case.
So it's just the appeals process, man. Like,
if these cases reach the Supreme Court, it's gonna have the same level of evidence. And it's like, I don't know, whatever. That I don't care, and I guess I fucking do. But everything is fucking stupid now, and it's funny to some extent, but it's also just fucking mind-numbing to witness and be a part of.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Now, yeah. Unless you have anything else to say, I think that's all that we have for today, really. You got anything else before we sign off?
Yeah. All I will say is that a better world is possible, and thanks for watching.
Yep, thanks for watching, guys. We will be posting these about every week now, hopefully. And we're getting the YouTube channel, and hopefully we'll get... Yeah, we'll see about that. Maybe I think every 2 weeks might actually work better, hopefully. We can figure out something soon, though. And you can follow us on Twitch. We'll be starting a Twitch channel. I haven't started it yet, but, you know, we got the YouTube channel posted. That's probably what you're watching this on if you're seeing it. And other than that, we're going to get some other social media, but it'll be down in the links below. But thank you guys for tuning in, seriously. We appreciate you guys having these conversations with us, and let us know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I'll see you later. Nick, you want to say bye?
Peace.
Peace.